day. My name is Clive Gray, and I'm on the executive of the South African Immunology Society. And this year, we're making quite a unique contribution to the IUIS in terms of our interpretation of the Day of Immunology for 2024. I'm sitting here with Babalwa Mentjies, who is the co-founder of the Amathunzi Youth Group. And this youth group performed a tantalizing and foot-stopping theatre performance at the IUIS 2023 meeting and it was called Immunity Theatre. So a shortened version of this has been made for this film. And I'm going to ask, first of all, I'm going to ask Babalwa to introduce herself and to introduce the Amathunzi Youth Group. And then I'm going to ask her to explain in a few minutes about the storyline of the film that you're about to see. Babalwa, welcome.
Good day, Clive. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Babalwa Mentjies, and I'm originally from the Eastern Cape in Makhanda, and I'm currently residing here in Khayelitsha, Cape Town, South Africa. Amathunzi Arts and Development Center is a non-profit organization, a public benefit entity that was registered in 2016 jointly with the community members of Khayelitsha that saw that the social ills in Khayelitsha are really escalating. So as an artist myself and a music educator, I thought that all the art forms can be utilized to create awareness, to educate, and to address all these social ills that we're encountering in our communities. And because our youth had an opportunity to participate at the great IUIS 23 Immunology Conference at the City ICC, now they had this opportunity of showcasing a shortened version of the story. I'm going to take you through the four different scenes that you will be watching. The first scene, you will notice that the queen, the king, and the villagers are entering and really enjoying themselves in their beautiful land, piece of land. And now the queen gave birth to a bouncing baby boy. And it's, this highlights the importance of a natural delivery of the baby. So here we see that the women are really relating, and as the natural birth process is known in the village. And also we see that the queen is breastfeeding to ensure that the baby, really grows very well. The milk contributes in the developmental stages of the baby. And also the second scene, wow, now the village has received disturbing news that there are intruders that are coming to attack their land. So the king became so furious, and he called a meeting that everyone should gather together and prepare to attack these intruders. In the scientific terms, the intruders being bacteria and germs. And now you will notice that the villagers work very strongly together, and they are united. They are trying to ensure that these intruders do not take over their land. And you will notice in the play that the intruders now become so furious and they want to attack the land. And you will hear one of these intruders mentioning a term, whites in power, whites in power. Then you will immediately know that in the scientific term, it's white cells. And now on the third scene, the king thought of consulting now with the villagers. the community leaders, the village people, because the village really needs to make a decision. The villagers needs to make a decision as to what can be done to ensure that the land is not taken away by these intruders. Then the king consulted firstly, for the very first time, with the medical doctor. And the medical doctor now, there he is, introducing vaccine to the king. The king became so reluctant. And he said he will think about it. And the doctor walked away. But at least he gave an advice. And then the king consulted with the elderly person, which is called Elder Patapata. Elder Patapata came in and advised the king that the people should keep their hands clean, should exercise and avoid touching the body with dirty hands. So clean hands, my king. That means that he's giving an advice that the land should be protected and taken good care of. And the third person that he consulted was the traditional healer. The traditional healer came with a lot of suggestions. Nutritious, the villagers should eat nutritious foods, should exercise, work on their land to ensure that these intruders don't enter the land. The land being the immune system. Intruders are the germs and the bacteria. This is an interesting and educational story, and I'm sure you are going to enjoy. And on the final scene, now the intruders have lost the battle because the villagers gathered together and in unity and fought these intruders out of their land, meaning that now their immune system is strong and healthy, and it's ready to attack any bacteria that would like to enter the system. You will really enjoy this play. I think that's just about it. I don't want to share a lot. Thank you, Clive.
That's fantastic. Thank you. And please, everyone, enjoy the film. And after the film, there'll be some scientific questions and answers by young emerging scientists in South Africa. Thank you.
Once upon a time, in a village called Amathunzi in the Eastern Cape, lived Chief Babalwa and his community. They all lived in peace and harmony. Because Chief Babalwa took very good care of his people.
Good morning, my people. Here is an apple for a day.
Great one.
Hey, Nobengazi.
Mthembu, fast.
We hardly see you at our monthly Bogoto meetings. Donina, are you hiding something or maybe someone?
Busy board fast. Remember, Kaloku, my sister-in-law is just giving birth to her first son.
Chini kanene. You know I have totally forgotten. Congratulations, Mfazi. Inene ukuzala kuzolula.
We can only thank our creator, Ukamat. First, I have never been this happy since the birth of my nephew. Hey, tell me, is your daughter married yet? Hey.
When was the last time you went to the neighboring village?
Hey, I just told you now, Jemafene, that my sister-in-law has just given birth to her first son. So now, how do you expect me to visit all the villagers at this time?
Oh, so you mean you haven't heard that some strange creatures have invaded Dzanibe?
When first?
The word is they might be headed our direction, but the rumor is all over the village.
Manfene, what are you saying? Has anyone told the chief?
And us. God, let us go and hear from the elders.
Let us go now. Great one.
We have rallied here today because a rumor has been circling our village that a deadly disease has landed on our doorstep.
Man, this is our forefathers' land. We have everything we need for a war. So, by means of that, let it come, man, because we are ready.
Great one.
When I left in a haste to go and prepare the upcoming war for this mysterious disease. One day, as the villagers were going about their war, upetentoni ngomlo upetentoni ngomlo upetentoni ngomlo.
Hey, Mthembu, fast.
Nobengazi.
You won't believe what I've just heard from my husband.
What did he say?
He said that I'm abstaining from fowl's meat, but I ate it soup.
What?
Red meat in fast.
Oh, so you mean he's still chasing after you at this age?
Hey, he must leave me alone. I can't do such exercises at this age.
Hi. Nobengazi, I'm coming back there.
You are like that too?
All of a sudden, they heard a catapult approaching and they rushed to the chief's tower. These creatures forced themselves into the village.
Such beautiful land they have, and their women too. Let's have some tea, gentlemen.
They sent a letter demanding to have a word with the chief.
Paper?
What?
Take this to them. Give it back. Oi. Take this to them now.
Yes.
3 of them came forward.
White.
Which I believe were the trusted
White
ones.
sin power.
They introduced themselves as follows.
White sin power. White sin power.
Greetings. I'm Colonel Viruses, known to thrive in living cells causing diseases like chickenpox and the famous flu.
White sin power. White sin power. White sin power.
And I am Sergeant Farm. We are microscopic organisms that cause itchy rashes like the ballerina's foot.
White team power, white team power, white team power. And I am sniper bacteria, one cell creature that causes infections like pneumonia, etc., etc. White team power, white team power, white team.
The Amathunzi village feared these colonizers amongst them. They rushed to the chief's crown for advice in order to protect themselves completely without.
Great one.
Great one. There is a threat amongst us, devouring our cattle, children, and women. We seek for your advice. Great one.
I call upon our priest vaccine.
Great one. Vaccine. It will step in and train immune systems to create antibodies. The vaccine, great one, it will be implemented on all ages.
I have to think about it. We go. Now, Elder Pata, what do you advise we do?
Stress reduction. Enough sleep. Great one. I suggest hygiene. I advise our people to keep their hands clean regularly. No sticky fingers. Great one. I know my people when I goes. They'll want to go and touch those colonizers everywhere and anyhow. Clean hands, great one. Oh, clean hands.
Thank you. Pata. Oh. Now, some of my diet. What are the bones saying? Hey, great one. I see darkness, great one. This does not look good at all, great one. Vumanibo, Siavu. Vumanibo, Siavu. We must avoid processed food and eat healthy. Vumanibo, Siavu. Vumanibo, Siavu. Great one. This is not good. I see them tampering with our food, great one. Vumanibo, Siavu. Vumanibo, Siavu. Great one. I see them overworking and poisoning us. Vumanibo, Siavu. Vumanibo, Siavu. Look, great one. Look, they are indeed here. Vumanibo, Siavu. Vumanibo, Siavu. Great one. I advise that we stay in our nutritious foods and exercise. Vumanibo, Siavu. Vumanibo, Siavu. Great one. I see our people eating fresh plants, fruits, grains, vegetables, and plenty of water. Vumanibo, Siavu. Vumanibo, Siavu. Great one. I advise that we stick on our land so that we can stay physically strong and healthy. Vumanibo, Siavu. Vumanibo, Siavu. Wetongola. Wetongola.
Actually, what is trying to say, Grade 1, is that we must stick to our nutritious foods, get our spears and shields, and be ready for war. Great.
This whole situation did not sit well with the chief.
Is this it? Could this be the end of us? Our forefathers, my forefathers, must be turning in their grave. We must never let this intrude us in our land. No, never, never!
Everyone came together and prepared themselves and their families to fight this
In my command, move! What? My shoulder! My shoulder! Where is man?
Fear not. Grade 1. I am the defender of the village. Everyone is ready to go. Together with the warriors of the body, we will scaffold these colonizers. Okay. With me are 2 warriors termed lymphocytes and the phagocytes. Lymphocytes. Make sure they spot the intruders who have previously invaded our shongos, like the Dutchmen. Phagocytes, Zona, make sure they squash and execute these colonizers. Get ready to attack!
The Amathunzi village won the war against the colonizers and finally
My name is Sabelo Hadebe. I'm the Vice President of the South African Immunology Society, and I'm one of the 15 IUIS Rising Stars. In our contribution to the IUIS Day of Immunology this year, I sat down with our early career immunologists, Dr. Sonwabile Dzanibe and Ms. Nontobeko Mthembu. And this is what they had to say about the portrayal of the theme, Immunity Through the Ages, by the Amathunzi Group, and how this closely intersects with their own research areas. Have a listen.
As you said, my name is Sonwabile Dzanibe, and I'm based at University of Cape Town in the Division of Immunology, where my specific focus in research is to actually look at the development of the immune system in babies, going all the way to children, and also trying to understand how we can better design vaccines for all the illnesses that these babies face early in life. mean, it was a very interesting play. The way they were, I think from my side, the way I was looking at it is that they were paralleling how the immune system or a particular individual will be challenged by these invading microorganisms. And then they also face those invaders who come to the community, and then the king would have to actually orchestrate or put in together a mechanism to try and protect the village, which is more or less what the immune system is also doing, where I think they also brought in the concept of having the vaccine actually playing a role in providing protection to that particular individual. So the play is actually right at the beginning when the baby is being born. So we understand that the baby comes from the mom's body, where it's more or less protected, and then as it comes out, it now faces these different challenges, which I think they were trying to demonstrate in the play, where immediately after birth, you're shielded by the mom. The mom is still nursing you, trying to provide you with some form of protection. But I mean, it may not necessarily be enough, as you've seen that they then say they have to now approach that individual who then provides the vaccine, so we can actually enhance the immune system to better protect the babies from this new environment they found themselves. So that's mostly what my research is actually focusing on, trying to map the immune system from birth for the first year of life, and then see how the information we gain, we can use it to develop all these different vaccines to provide protection to these growing babies, so that they can actually live better life.
So my name is Nontobeko Mthembu, as you have introduced, and I'm from the University of Cape Town. I recently submitted my PhD, and I am based at the IDM at UCT and under the Division of Immunology. So my PhD project was basically looking at immune mechanisms that are involved in the inception of severe asthma that does not respond well to treatment. So that's what I was looking at, and we found very interesting data to show the differences that exist when you compare asthma in adults versus in neonates. So I thought that the play portrayed immunity very well and what happens in the immune system. Firstly, I thought how they portrayed passive immunity from the mother giving birth to the child naturally, passing on the immunity from the mother to the child, which is why some of the villagers made a comment on how the child was growing and was healthy, and how they also highlighted the fact that the child was being breastfed, which obviously, as we know, you also get immunity from the mother through breast milk. So I thought that was great. I also thought the portrayal of what happens in the immune system was done very well, especially with the, I think at the beginning, there's two villages that are having a conversation, and a conversation about intruders that have come to claim the land takes place, and how these sort of represent the constant monitoring that happens in the immune system, where there's monitors basically that go around monitoring if there's any intruders, and then they go and report. And in the play, you can see the two villagers going to inform the chief or the king so that there's further action being taken. So I thought that was a very great portrayal of what happens in the immune system, because we know that the monitoring happens, and how then there's more defenders that are being called to try and defend the body against any invading agent. I thought what relates to asthma, how when the chief was now consulting, and first there was vaccine, which doesn't really, but I think it represents modern medicine. But I actually liked the part where they went and consulted the traditional healer, I think, who then suggested going back to the basics and keeping the. And what that speaks to when it to asthma, I thought is on the main hypothesis in our field, which is the hygiene hypothesis, which speaks to how the less you are exposed to germs and the more you are prone to having asthma. And the fact that they touched on how they should go back to eating crops, vegetables and fruits that they've grown themselves in the village and stay away from processed foods. And as some of you might know, in asthma, the growing trend of asthma was mainly, or in the past, being reported in the developing countries, and this was mainly due to industrialization or urbanization. And obviously in the underdeveloped countries and countries that are still developing, the growing trends of asthma are also related to how urbanization has taken over. And so I thought that was a relation between what they were portraying and how they were then saying they would thrive better or stand a chance to survive if they go back to basics and sort of stay away from processed foods. And yeah.
Hi, it's me again. As we close off this day of immunology film, I'm sitting here with Rapula, who is the director of the Amathunzi Youth Theatre and Immunity Theatre. And hi, Rapula.
Hi, Clive.
If you can sum up the performance in 10 words, what would you say?
I would say it needed commitment, research, scientific terminologies, and now we know and have the discipline of immunity or immunology.
Yeah. And what's important is that this film will be shown at schools and to school children. What would you say is the main message to schools and school children?
We as Amathunzi are promoting a healthy lifestyle, taking care of your immune system, and we are also promoting that we have a healthy generation now. And above all, it was fun.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Clive.
Yeah.